Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of Final Stallions!
Alright, Josh, I have a question for you.
Alright, what's that?
What is your favorite type of pasta?
Oh, I mean, rigatoni is pretty good.
You can't go wrong with the classic rig.
I'm always a big fan of stroganoff, you know that.
Beef stroganoff?
Beef stroganoff, dude. Yeah, you're not gonna have chicken stroganoff. It's crazy. Yeah.
No matter how you like your pasta, you have to have it cooked al dente.
I agree.
Al dente! That is correct, Klept, and that is correct, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it for your first. Sorry, Dave took over me for a minute there. You're on the next episode of Vinyl Stallions. We're here with Mr. Josh Mounts, about to get weird and freaky in Spruce Studios. Josh, what is going on?
Not much, man. Just, enjoying the nightlife out here. Decided to stop by, talk to two nice fellas here.
Ooh, you hear that, Club? We're considered
I'm
nice.
flattered.
We're considered nice by the Stampede audience. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, just here to talk some tunes, man. That's all.
Yes. Well, before we, so this is going to be another one of the ones where we do a little sit down and do a little album review of an album of Josh's choice. But before we dive into that album and reveal what it is, I just want to talk about kind of Josh Mounts and the history of you playing guitar, being in different bands, and just creating music in general. Because way back when we were kicking it, sophomore year of high school, you had these CDs that you had just created a record, and I kid you not, CD was in my car for the rest of high school, and I would just always bump it, and my aux stopped working, so I only had CDs, so I would just bump that over and over again. So what project was that?
So that was a band that I was in high school called February's Finest, and you're going to have a lot of that because we recorded an 11-song EP and had about 1,000 CDs produced, and then broke up about a month later. So, you'll find boxes of those everywhere. I've seen them at the Exchange in the $2.50 pile. And I'm like, I feel like I'm at least in the $5 CD pile.
Wait, you've seen it? Like somewhere else?
Oh, yeah. It has a barcode on it and everything. I saw it in there. It was the cheapest one because they probably couldn't identify it.
But they're still pushing your product.
Yeah, no, they're selling it. They're selling it. That was a band I was in sophomore year of high school into junior year. With a couple people, Phil Papasic and Henry Jenkins. Good times, but a lot of stuff happens with people in bands and stuff. Different feelings. People pay for different things, and people get pissed when you don't pay for certain producing parts of it.
Come on, love me for the money. Come on, listen to the money talk.
It all comes down to the money, really. As far as music though, started playing piano when I was about 3 or 4 years old. My parents had me in lessons. I did competitive piano until I was about 13. Right around then, I started playing guitar and bass and playing in bands. The first band I was in was a hardcore punk band called Sync Ohio Sync. I played rhythm guitar for them, so that was a lot of fun.
And so when was that?
So that had to be 8th grade going into freshman year.
Okay. And how long were you playing guitar before that?
Before that, I was probably playing beginning of 7th grade, just, watching videos online. I started taking lessons in 8th grade, and I had about a year lessons in guitar. And then, I stopped taking lessons and just kind of, was playing in bands ever since then.
Hell yeah. No, dude, you have been probably the earliest person that I've known personally that has played out, recorded stuff from like that early age. Like, did you play like the Grog Shop or something like in 8th grade or something?
So that was I think that was sophomore year, but we did play the Grog Shop. We played with this band called Attack Cat, which was the drummer from Reliant K had a she and him acoustic duo type thing. And we opened for them, and I remember going there, and the guy, it was like 90 degrees out, and the guy was wearing like a scarf and like a cutoff, and he like wouldn't talk to us. He thought he was like big time or something. And I remember we had about 25 tickets sold for that concert. So we had like 25 people in there. And then they were so, not nice and welcoming to us that right when we finished playing, we got out of there.
Everyone got out.
We left. The place emptied immediately. Nobody saw Attack Cat. And that's why you haven't heard of them.
God damn, someone's big meechin up in here.
Yeah.
The duos, come on.
House of Blues as well. That was cool. That was the high school rock off though, so it wasn't like a
Ooh.
show like
Yeah,
that.
but to play on that stage though.
Yeah, it was
Very cool. Some huge acts have played there.
Yeah, it was intimidating, honestly, to just, go out there and have way more room than you would normally have on a stage. And you can't see anyone in the crowd. Normally when you play a show at like one of these smaller venues or something, it's real intimate. You see everyone in the front row. When you're on stage at the House of Blues, you see nobody's face. It's just you out there and just a sea of just nothingness, basically.
And so it was packed because it was like a big event.
It was packed.
That's just kick ass.
Yeah. I ended up playing a guitar that was broken though, and it ended up messing up the sound a little bit. And we lost to this Paramore knockoff band, but I'm not salty or anything about it,
Took a pause.
That Paramore's a good band.
Paramore's good. There's a funny story from that my mom told me years later because she was there watching the concert. Because we were like a real old school 90s emo band, screaming, songs about not being okay and stuff like that. So we're up there playing, and I guess all the parents are up in the top deck, and one of the ladies looks at my mom and was like, "Why is it so angry? Why are they so angry?" And I guess she looked at them and she was like, "Oh, it's that teenage angst." I was like, that perfectly describes it, man. Yeah.
That's all. Shout out to Sandy.
Oh yeah, Sandy.
We love him.
That's awesome.
That is very cool to say that you, played those places again so early on. And, but as you continue down the road, as you said, things were together, you put out that album with February's Finest, broke up a month later. But you've continued just through college and after to just always stay consistent with being involved in music somehow, whether it be posting on your social media, constantly making covers or original videos, having stuff on Spotify that you created yourself. And just for myself, that's inspiring as shit, just because I've known Josh forever, man. And to see it's like someone continually do it is what I want to be able to fucking say I'm doing right now. So, but yeah, man. So tell us about that. Tell us about Pineview Estates. Tell us a little bit about your other projects that have.
So Pineview Estates is just a solo thing with me. I've been releasing stuff, the last couple years, mostly stuff that I wrote when I was in college, but didn't record until, COVID hit, and I really had a chance to sit down, work out the songs, record them all, mix them, all that jazz. But I've basically been doing, for the past 8 years, working on that stuff. The key to it is just, to keep writing, keep playing, play with different people. Obviously, it helps you, get a wider variety of music, gives you ideas for writing songs. But for me, it's just, since I haven't really been in an organized band in a while, besides, putting out my solo stuff, it's just to continue to create music, play music, and try and make it, as big a part of my life as I can, basically.
Because if you're like me, it's all you think about. And I'm sure you have that too.
Yeah.
Nah, man, you are just knowledgeable with the guitar. I remember just sitting around fires back at old Bogart's house, and you just whipping out the acoustic and getting everyone singing along to what were some of those go-to songs, man?
So I had a set list that I would play. I knew what the people loved. You know what I mean? So you'd play Folsom Prison Blues.
Yep.
What I Got by Sublime, Santeria. The big one was Semi-Charmed Life by Third Eye Blind. People went nuts for that.
Yeah.
I remember there's a video of us really drunk one night in Dempsey's basement at 2:00 in the morning, playing Folsom Prison Blues. And
dude, yes.
I don't know who has that video, if we could hunt it down somewhere, but that is an excellent little shot into what those summers and what those parties look like, because every single time Bogart would hand me a guitar at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and be like, "Hey man, it's time." And
it's time.
I'd be like, "Don't worry, man, I'm ready."
Yeah. Check the list one more time. All right, we'll begin. Do.
I got 4 songs, man, and then after that, it's over.
And then it's freestyle.
Yeah.
No, I remember that video very specifically. I'm sure I have it honestly somewhere. I have just archives of just everything. So I'll try to find that. hopefully by the time when we post this one,
everybody's singing along to it too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I hear the train coming.
Yeah, that was like a real performance too. We were like in front of his TV and everything.
Yeah, dude. Holy shit.
A lot of things happened in Dempsey's basement that summer, man.
They did. What fun times, man. I remember specifically, just one more memory is after a block party in Savannah, like the wildest amount of people showed up, and you were on like standing on one of the benches, and everyone was like around you, and yeah, like it had to have been like Third Eye Blind or something, and everyone was just like fucking losing their mind.
I thought you were gonna bring up the vampire for a second.
No,
I'm like that really doesn't have anything to do with music.
It doesn't. Ask us another time about
that's a story for another time.
A whole other podcast.
Good times though.
Yes, shout out. But yeah, so what are you working on now? I know you've kind of mentioned there's a new project brewing.
So right now I am trying to put something together with a few of my friends. Right now we're going under the name Stark's Pond. That's pending though, just because we're throwing some different names out there. Just writing stuff, buying equipment, and trying to get a little studio together up at this house in Seven Hills. Right now we just have some renovating to do, soundproofing and stuff like that. But once we get that together, hopefully, practicing and, gigging soon would be the real goal. And then obviously from there, recording and stuff. But, I'd really like to play live, original music, which I haven't done in a really long time.
Back that up, though. Did you just say you were renovating that house into like a whole studio?
Yeah. So my buddy Arden, me and him have been friends for a really long time. His grandfather passed away and passed down his house to his whole family. And he has it's this whole old 1800s house, bunch of rooms, weird, like to go up into the studio, it's a bookcase and you pull a book and then the bookcase opens up.
That's so freaking cool.
Yeah. And then I was going to live there as an apartment too. And I was thinking like, that's the coolest thing ever. Like just having like a bookshelf case to get to my room.
That is unreal.
Yeah.
We're building it up there. We have some renovating to do. Obviously we've soundproofed one room pretty much thoroughly. But like the larger part of the room, we still have some renovation to do to get that studio up and running. Hopefully though, we'll be up there playing soon. We're hoping to record other bands too. That would be awesome.
That was going to be my next question. Will it just be like your dedicated recording space, or will there be like a studio for, you guys to record others too? So
I've definitely like into that idea. It's just so hard nowadays because everybody is their own home recorder. You can buy a program, something, mixer for $300 and record, pretty good sounding stuff at home. Sometimes people don't like other people having input and that type of stuff. But I'd love to have other bands in there. That would be awesome. That would definitely be a goal of mine.
Even if you don't though, that's still super cool to just have like that dedicated space with professional sound quality to just, you guys can just rip it there anytime you want.
Well, that was the best thing about like in high school, like bands and stuff, like having Mitch, his family had that little side room, which kind of looks similar to the studio that we're having, but like just being able to play as loud as we want there every single time. I had a full stack, 300 watt solid state amp. It was too much. It was absolutely too much. I thought I was Kurt Cobain. I don't know. It was, I wanted to be as loud as possible.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. I remember bringing that to the Green and White Review, which was the talent show at Westlake. And I had it on about a 1 or a 2, and the guy was like, "Can you turn it down? Like it's too loud." And I was like, I can't turn it down. This is as low as it goes. So it was too much, but you live and you learn.
Yeah, no, you've you've gone through a fair share of amps and guitars and stuff.
Oh yeah, I love to cycle through. I mean, once I get old, tired of one, sell it and buy a new one. That's kind of been my go-to for years.
Well, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the project's music. Like what sort of genre vibes are you guys going for? So, and give us the full roster too. Sorry, I know that's 2 questions.
Oh, you're good, man. So like, I mean, it's like a fair amount of variance in what I like write. I'd probably say it's, pretty much your classic like emo math rock type of stuff. Algernon Cadwallader is a big influence for us. Band t-shirt I'm wearing right now. American football, obviously. Newer bands like Standards, Tiny Moving Parts and stuff like that. Open tunings are mostly what I like to play in, just explorative stuff like that. Right now we have me on rhythm guitar, Arden on bass and vocals, my buddy James Loxley on lead guitar, and then we're hoping to get a drummer. I know Mitch has been wanting to jam with us, so we're probably going to jam with him and see what happens with that. But that's usually the hardest part of like any group or anything, is a good drummer that is interested in doing what you're trying to do, can show up every practice on time. It's the hardest thing to find, because everybody plays guitar, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not special, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, it's I think more people want to play drums. Fucking expensive as shit. You got to get as loud as fuck. Like, you need to like make sure, if you're young, like, put me in a corner, mom, soundproof me. Like, it's way more of a hassle than guitar, where honestly, you don't even have to plug in at all. You could still just like play electric and just practice on it. And
well, they have those little Vox things that you plug in now. I know Arden has one that has the earpiece in it, and that's just incredible.
What? I have not heard of those.
You can just listen to it right on your headphones, man. That's the way to go, in my opinion. But it's kind of like in football, like it's hard to find like the top tier quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, guitarists are kind of just like, running backs. You don't want to take one early in the first round.
They're changeable.
Yeah, they're interchangeable. You only have them for about 2 or 3 years, then the knees are done.
So your first round pick is a drummer, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, you definitely, a drummer, their value is a little bit more just because they're harder to find, basically.
It's interesting that you say that, because I think about it now. I have so many friends who are like musicians, but I think I'm the only one that plays drums. They all play like piano, guitar, bass, sing. Like,
yeah, it's hard to like find someone who's like who plays drums, who obviously, like I said, wants to play the type of music that you're playing. Drummers are usually like aloof too, no offense.
This is the beef we're talking about off air.
Yeah. It's kind of like that Ringo syndrome where, they're not part of any of the drama. They just kind of come in and do their thing. It's respectable in a certain way. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there is drama with there's so many things. We could do like reality TV show with instruments. We could do draft picks with instruments. We can get weird with this.
Oh, there's not a band I've been in that there's not some type of drama or some type of regret over something. But
it's such a fine line, because like you get so wrapped up in like you're constantly thinking about it. You want things specifically in a way, and like you want, I don't know, like there's, like I said, there's random ass drama that comes up for some reason, when at the end of the day, it's just like, it's music. Like it's Fugazi, it's Fugazi. Like it's literally just.
Especially when you're writing your own stuff, though, it's like overtly personal as well. So if you come in with a song and someone's like, oh, I don't like that, it's like, you don't like what I create.
You just shattered their entire.
Yeah.
My baby.
Or someone has an opinion of something that should be done differently, and you're like, why should that be done differently? I think it's fine the way it is.
Yeah. I tried it. Yeah. I tried when people do that. Because I honestly encourage that when I'm in like a jamming space or like creative space, like to like, you all, like in my mind, I'm just like, speak up, let's do it. We'll try it a couple times, unanimous, or if you're just working you two, like you'll find a compromise in some way and be able to move on. Because I don't know, it is a fine line. Like I see stuff so clearly in my head, but other times I'm like, there are so many people that see things in their head, like why, like let me open my ear to them a little bit.
I could definitely use some work on that as well. I can be kind of a prick sometimes.
It's the drama, man. It's a drama in the wood.
It's the Dave Grohl syndrome, man. It's, you get a drummer to play and you don't like what he's playing, and then you record it while he's off in Seattle, and then you just record it yourself.
And then you don't like the bassist or the guitar either, so you record that, and all of a sudden you've recorded the whole album.
I went to go see Sunny Day Real Estate is an old 90s emo band. I went to go see them recently, and the original drummer and bassist of the Foo Fighters is the drummer and bassist from Sunny Day Real Estate. And now the bassist, Nate Mendel.
Yeah, Nate Mendel. Yeah,
he's still the bassist in Foo Fighters, but the drummer isn't in there anymore because Dave Grohl wanted to record the drums on their first album and then just have him tour with them. And the guy was like, absolutely not. Like, you know, if I'm going to be part of the band, I'm going to be part of the band. Like, I get it, you're Dave Grohl, but so I saw him outside. We took a picture with him, and it took everything in me not to say like, all right, like fuck Dave Grohl on 3. Dude, I didn't know how he would react though. Like either I would be his best friend and he would be like, yeah, man, like you totally get it. Or he would like react horribly and I would have had the worst time at the show. But I was able to, you know, keep my chats a little bit at minimum and hold that into myself and not say that out loud to another person. So
that's hilarious. Yeah, you're right, because you could have just torn open like an old wound, or he could have been like, yeah, he knows what's up.
Yeah, or I could have been like he would have been like, you want a t-shirt, man? Like,
yeah, that's an all or nothing play. Yeah, you're either getting thrown out of that show or you're getting pulled up on stage.
Yeah, no, and I wasn't ready to risk it all like that, so I decided to just keep it to myself. I've had a lot of weird interactions with different, you know, people in bands and stuff over the years. I remember when I was 14, I was at Warped Tour, and Fat Mike from NoFX, who is just like a well-known a-hole, one of the worst people you'll ever meet. I love his music though. He had called me over because I was wearing his band's t-shirt, and he was saying to some girl who was wearing a Devil Wears Prada t-shirt, I think, hey, you need to get a shirt like that. So I thought he was like calling me over to talk to me or whatever. So I go over there and it's just silent. He says nothing. So I'm getting nervous. And what I meant to ask him is, what time are you guys playing today? But it came out as, are you guys playing today? So he looks at me, and little fat me in my NoFX shirt and my khakis out 90-degree weather in Tower City Amphitheater. And he just goes, no, we're not playing together. We're not playing today. Actually, we're never playing again. And then he looked at the guy next to him and goes, did you hear what this kid just asked me? And then it was absolutely silent. And I just walked away after that. Ever since then, I've been a little bit nervous about saying the wrong thing. But I've also had really good experiences with people. So, I mean, you know, you just realize that those people are normal people too, unless they're like, you know, playing a character of, you know, some a-hole who's meant to rip on kids who love their band.
Who are some good ones you've had?
So there's a band called Mission of Burma. Now they're one of like the original like indie rock post-punk type bands. They were around from like 79 to 82. And then they broke up, and it took them about 30 years to get back together. I saw them at Studio Rama, which is a free show that Case Western puts on. And the guy was working on his laptop earlier on in the festival, and my friend was like, go talk to him. I ended up going to talk to him. He ended up, you know, being really nice, showing us a bunch of stuff that he was working on his laptop. And at the end of the concert, he ended up giving me a free t-shirt and the set list from the concert as well. Wow. There's actually a video of me online. It's just me right up front stage while they're performing, just but
the Mount Scam.
Yeah, it's like obviously that I'm there like by myself up front too. Like I worked my way up front. I'm just but that was a great time. They were awesome live, cool people. That kind of helped me, you know, get over that a little bit. So now I'll just go up and talk fucking people's ears off whenever I get the chance. Can I swear? By the way,
let's say whatever the
fuck
you want.
Cheers. I just wanted to make sure that this is the adult tour, man. I didn't know. I
don't want to ruin anyone's day.
Yeah, we mark all the episodes as explicit, so yep, anything goes.
Okay, just making sure because I didn't want to, you know, be bleeped out every 5 seconds.
5 fucking seconds.
5 fucking seconds.
Yep, we use 4-letter words here on Vinyl Stallions.
It's like, oh shit. Hey, watch your fucking mouth. It's like, God damn it.
Oh my god, that's great. That's great.
Great.
It is great. Yeah, man. Like, yeah. No. I'm glad me and Josh jammed for the first time in a minute. Last week, 2 weeks ago, or something.
It has been a minute. It's been a minute since I jammed with anybody, really, and that was a real good time.
It was. That's how I want to spend my Friday nights in this winter, people. So anyone in the Cleveland area, hit us up.
Just call the number at the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, 1-800
jam now.
Yeah, jam now.
1-800 jams now.
It's my jams, and I need it now.
I wonder if you could buy that phone number at this point. Someone had to have taken it.
Oh yeah, it's like a jelly company, jelly jam company. It's jelly stealing from jam.
It's like, what's with all this music mumbo jumbo?
What's the difference between jam and jelly?
how you're feeling that day. It's like marmalade, you know. It's like it's all the Beatles. It's whatever the Beatles are eating. I don't know. Marmalade and toast, man. Those guys lived off that. I'm surprised they don't have diabetes at this point.
Yeah, they're still living. Dude, you saw McCartney this year.
I did see McCartney this year. First time seeing him, which was just incredible. We went out to Baltimore to see him at Camden Yards, and we bought tickets. I was like freaked out. My anxiety was going crazy. Right when they went on sale, they started to go up in price. So I tried to snag them really fast, and I got the worst tickets you could possibly get. I mean, top of the bleachers, way in the back, like backs against the fence. So we get there, and my buddy's dad, he like has a walker, so they let him onto the floor, and they gave him floor
Hell
seats.
yeah.
Yeah, they gave him floor seats. So we're up there, and he's like, "Hey man, we're on the floor." We're like, "Oh, nice man, awesome, like good for you." And he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna try and get you guys 2 tickets." And we were like, "Yeah, sure, man, like that's gonna happen." So he starts playing. He plays "Can't Buy Me Love," and you can barely hear it. I mean, and it's like, and he's like a speck. You can barely see him. And I'm everybody around me, you can kind of, there was like a group realization that, oh my God, we paid $300 and this is what we paid for. And like right at that moment, he texted us saying, "Hey, I got your floor seats. Like meet me at this gate." So we rush down. He plays one more song that we miss, but we rush down, get onto the floor, and we're 50 rows back, dead center, which was just, for McCartney, it was just incredible. I mean, he was right there. It was real smushed though. So me and my brother, we basically had one seat because people were sneaking in down there too. So I kind of had to like sit in front of him. Like we were a couple, like he kind of like, you know, wrapped his arms around the back of me
Don't
the whole time. Yeah. So we're sitting there, and these women next to us, we were like talking to them throughout the concert. And they were like, "So how long have you guys, you know, known each other?" And I'm like, since I was like, you know, since I was born, 28 years. And she was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, we're brothers." And she was like, "What?" So they must have thought we were a gay couple because he was behind me the whole time, which is flattering to me because my brother is a good looking chap, 6'5". So to think that I could, you know, get with him, that was a plus for me. But it was just funny that she was like, "How long have you guys been together?" And I'm like, "Oh, you know, a long time." we go way back. But it was a great time. I mean, after that, like if you like, you know, like the best concerts that you go to, you have that kind of like afterglow after.
Oh yeah, it's
yeah.
Like,
Yep.
I mean, even if it's not the best concert you've ever been to, you're like, if it's one of the best, you're sitting there like, that was the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can honestly say McCartney was probably the best concert I've ever seen. He played for 3 hours, no breaks. The only breaks he took were to play songs on the piano. They had him try and play guitar, which was just so embarrassing because he's just off. Like, he's a great bass player. Don't get me wrong. I love Paul McCartney, my favorite songwriter of all time. But when they put him on guitar, he was like, you know, trying to play to it. And I'm like, just play bass, Paul. You know, you don't have to do that for us, man. It's not that big of a deal. They had a John Lennon sing along as well too. They had the audio track from when they played on the roof of his vocal track. So they played "Everybody Had a Good Year," that song.
That's a banger.
And they sang it together. And then Paul came out after and he was like, "Oh, you know, when they play that song, it makes me feel like John's still around." And you're like, "Oh, Paul, man."
That's an interesting point. So like, I guess what percentage would you say was like Beatles songs versus Wings songs versus Paul solo songs?
I would say it was about 20% Paul solo songs, 40% Wings, and then 40-50% Beatles songs. So it was a lot more Beatles songs than you would expect.
Okay. That's so
really
cool though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge Beatles fan. So
yeah, nobody's gonna complain about getting Beatles.
Oh man, when they played "Let It Be," everyone had their phone lights out, and we were on the floor of the baseball stadium. So when you went around the whole stadium, it was just everyone singing along to it, all the lights and everything. It was a religious experience, is what I tell people, because it really was. I mean, I don't think I'm the same person I was before I saw Paul McCartney.
Damn.
I mean, if you're oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say 2 of the coolest like live songs I've heard live were both Beatles covers by Fish. One was an a cappella "Strawberry Fields Forever," and the other was "As My Guitar Gently Weeps." And just like, yeah, like, I don't know, anyone can play Beatles and like nobody's gonna complain.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, if you don't like the Beatles, I have a hard time trusting you. Just because the Beatles are fucking fantastic. But hearing Paul play it, and then he had a great band. His drummer was really like livening up the crowd. He played like some newer songs too, and it's like, we get it, Paul.
Yeah, you still gotta.
You can still write music, but let's
has to do it just to prove he can.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was hoping he played the simply having wonderful.
Oh yeah,
but he didn't.
One of the legendary Christmas songs.
Oh yeah, dude. One of his most popular tracks too, honestly, in solo career. But yeah, a lot of Wings stuff. Every time they played a Wings song, my brother was quoting what's that movie with Sean William Scott, Role Models.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, "Is this a Wings song?" And I'm like, "Nah, this isn't a Wings song. This isn't even a song, man. Nobody wrote this song."
I haven't seen that in a minute.
Do you know that's like they created a fake Wings song, like it's online, like for that movie.
Really?
Yeah, and remember he's like, "Is that a Wings song?"
Yeah.
And later on he plays it.
But that's just like one they made.
Yeah, dude, it sounds just like a Wings song. If you go online and look up Role Models Wings song and just listen to it, it basically is a Wings song.
That's hilarious. Holy shit. I haven't seen that movie in a minute. I gotta go back.
It's fantastic, man.
It is. Well, you hit on the head kind of how we wrap up all of these sit downs. We ask one question. We have one question prepared every single time. So I'm going to X out McCartney all around for this because I assume that's up there number one. But what is your most memorable concert experience? And you could look at it as a memorable in a good way or memorable in a bad way where you either saw it happen to you or you were like, what the fuck is this? And you could give a couple as well if a couple come to mind.
Well,
and it could be one that you were performing at. Like it
True.
Doesn't necessarily have to be one you were just attending.
So let's start with performing and then I'll move on from there. The Grog Shop was a lot of fun. I remember one point though, we were playing the song and my mic went off and the sound guy like had his back turned or something. And I was sitting there, banging on the mic, trying to get his attention. And at that point I was like, wow, man, I'm a real musician. I'm sitting here pissed at the sound guy, man. Nothing is more DIY musician than being upset at the sound guy while you're on stage performing to a group of people. So that was a lot of fun. And that was when we were recording an album too. So we would go, actually right down the street from here was where the studio was at, on the west side. And we would go and we'd spend all day there. And then we had that concert later at night. So it went from us finishing up the album to that concert. That whole day was just like a perfect encapsulation of, everything like that being a musician involves. So that was probably like a really good day for me. As far as an actual concert, I would probably say getting to see the Eagles before Glenn Frey died was an amazing concert. Just because you get the same thing you get like if you were to watch, like, let's say all the Beatles were still alive and they played together now. It would be all of their music, all of John's solo stuff, all of George's solo stuff. I mean, they were playing Joe Walsh songs, Don Henley songs. They played for 3 hours too with an intermission, and they were just incredible. I mean, nothing really beats that experience. That was one of the first like older bands that I saw live, and it was just incredible.
Yeah, one of my buddies, he was actually at their show this year at Nationwide Arena in Columbus, and he was sending me a bunch of snaps of it. And it was just like you said, like all of a sudden I'm hearing Boys of Summer, and then I'm hearing County Fair, and then I'm hearing like Life in the Fast Lane. I'm like,
Life's
wow,
Been Good, or Joe Walsh. He's like, hey. Yep. Have you ever seen Mark Maron's podcast? They have Joe Walsh on it. I remember I listened to it on an airplane once, and he's so fried from years of just drug use and drinking that he doesn't really think for himself. So Maron had to kind of like, he's like, and that was the guitar that you gave Jimmy Page his first Les Paul, right? And he would just go, well yeah. Well, yeah. Well, you could tell him anything. It's like, and that's when you had the sex change and became a woman. He'd be like, yeah, I think that was the year, yeah. I love Joe Walsh, love the Eagles, R.I.P.
Yeah. Okay. Hot take. You can call me an idiot and throw me out of here if you want, but Joe Walsh solo better than Eagles?
Oh, I don't know about as prolific. Do you throw James Gang into Joe Walsh just as a musician by himself, since he wrote most of those songs too? Like, is Funk 49 involved in there? Because they played that as well, which was incredible.
You could, yeah.
But I really like the Eagles, man. I definitely I prefer the Eagles over that for sure.
Fair.
I mean, one of the best to release a greatest hits album in the prime of your career and have it be the #1 selling like greatest hits album of all time. That's pretty impressive.
Absolutely.
It's hard, you know, being a big Lebowski fan though, and knowing that the dude just hates the Eagles.
Had a long day.
Yeah. Credence to the Eagles, I choose Credence, but that's just me.
What are not even gonna dive into it. All right, tell us some more if you have any more memorable experiences.
Seeing Algernon this past month was pretty awesome, just because they were a band that I never thought would get back together. And they sounded just as good as they did about 10 years ago. One of the most influential bands for me personally. I mean, original Warped Tour was sweet. Just seeing that many bands in a row. But there's nothing more punk rock than waiting in line at Tower City and hearing Anti-Flag playing Die for Your Government and just being like, okay, this day is going to be awesome. I remember though, because I wasn't a Paramore fan at the time, but that summer was the summer that Blink-182 got back together, and they had on the main stage, it was like special guests. So everybody was talking the whole day like, oh, you know, Blink-182 is back together. They're definitely playing this Warped Tour. So all the punk kids, you know, showed up to the stage ready to see Blink-182. And like we had, you know, stuff against Paramore at the time. And they were like, all right, now performing is Paramore. And you just hear this loud like, ah! And we all started walking away from it. And you see like all like the scene kids walking in. They're like, oh my God, is that Paramore playing? And they like started walking up to it. I remember being super disappointed though. And then Fat Mike made fun of me. And then I saw them and they were incredible, which just made it so much worse. Like, it was one of the best shows I've seen. And I love that venue. I'm just so upset that they closed Tower City Amphitheater. My first like real concert that I went to was Seether and Flyleaf there.
Okay.
Ooh, that'd be a good one.
Yeah.
The rib cook-off.
We had to be under 13, I think, to get in free. And the guy asked, he was like, how old are the kids? And my dad was like, oh, they're 14 or something. And he was like,
oh.
And then he was like, what? And he goes, oh, they're 12. And then that's what let us in free. But he almost blew it right off the bat. Yeah, I remember just, there was a bunch of, it was the first pit I've ever been in. A bunch of just huge, just angry white dudes elbowing you. Which doesn't sound fun, but like when you're listening to that type of music, it's definitely a good time. A couple girls flashing, which was cool as a 13-year-old. I you know, took some pics of that with my brain. It was helped me out for a few years. But yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Mounds.
But wait, there's more.
Yes, there is more. But again, ladies and gentlemen, Josh Mounds. Go check his stuff out on Spotify, Pineview Estates.
And Stark's Pond as well.
Yep, Stark's Pond. You got some stuff up there as well. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we'll be looking out, keeping up with Stark's and keeping up with how that studio's coming along.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
And honestly, if you haven't caught on, Josh is also a comedian as well. So let's start getting him around the Cleveland scene and give this man a platform.
Please.
But yeah, so as I mentioned at the beginning, Josh, I told you to pick an album. We always like doing a sit down after a little album review. And what did you choose?
So I chose From Under the Cork Tree, which is technically Fall Out Boy's third studio album. An album that I recently rediscovered and realized it was one of those, you know, albums you can listen to front to back. Countless bangers. Not something I really listened to when I was younger, but I've grown a love for Fall Out Boy over the years. Just a really, really classic pop punk album. One of the best in my opinion.
They released it.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna give some little
2006.
Facts. Yep, it is. It said released May 3rd, 2005 through Island Records as the band's major label debut.
2005, right? Panic at the Disco was 2006. It's funny though, because Panic at the Disco wouldn't be a band if it wasn't for Fall Out Boy. they like recorded a demo together, and I guess they sent it to Pete Wentz, and he just heard it and was like, I want to record you guys, and then signed, like created a label to sign them on to. And then they released their album in 2006 to another great band.
And is that A Fever You Can't Sweat Out, the Panic album?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they released Pretty Odd, I think, in 2008.
And that's the one with 9 in the Afternoon, right?
That's the one where they tried to be the Beatles. Yeah.
I mean, that song, I don't know any other songs off that album, but that song 9 in the Afternoon, I remember when that came out, that was like everywhere.
Oh, it's a great song too. I mean, that's like one of, like with them and Fall Out Boy, I really like both of their albums right then. And then their next album they released, I basically like one song off of it. For Fall Out Boy, it's like Thanks for the Memories off of Infinity on High is a really great song, but off of not that great of an album. And then Pretty Odd is a decent album, but 9 in the Afternoon is definitely one of their best tracks for sure.
I'll never forget that song because it was the first song on Rock Band that I got 100% on. And then after I did that, I was like, all right, now I got to learn this song on real drums, and did.
Yeah, I remember that phase, the whole Rock Band Guitar Hero thing. People were really into that, dude. It's nuts.
That was so much fun in high school. That was like my Friday nights, like get 3 people to come over, got the drums, 2 guitars, and a singer, and all right, we got a concert in my parents' basement.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about Guitar Hero and probably over like 40% of every single sit down that we have. At some point, Guitar Hero comes up for like an inspiration or just fucking around.
Really weird.
I feel like it was such a unifying force for teenagers from, like around our age group back in high school. Like anyone who was into music would play that video game. Like it was a cool thing to do when you're hanging out with other people that loved music. Like I love that game.
I think it was a great like entry for people into different styles of music as well. Just like
absolutely
into different stuff. FCPR Remix by Fall of Troy was on there, and I remember like people started listening to Fall of Troy out of nowhere.
Yep.
And it's like,
yeah,
they're like really experimental, dude.
Yeah, you could have people who like never listen to metal going, it's the painkiller.
Oh yeah. Or
just like screaming Judas Priest.
What was the Kaiser Chiefs song they had on there? I can't remember what it was. It's not Ruby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We digress.
Indeed. I mean, so when you chose Fall Out Boy, I kind of forgot until like when I was listening to the album again earlier today. I saw Fall Out Boy last year at the Hella Mega Tour in San Francisco with Green Day and Weezer.
Holy shit.
And I honestly, I got back from Hawaii like earlier that day. So we were stumbling and mumbling through like sleep. And I got the Weezer, like I only saw like the last like 3 songs, honestly. And they were ripping like Africa and shit.
Oh yeah.
And then, but then we got to our seats and saw all of Fall Out Boy, and it was rowdy.
It's crazy how they're one of those bands that have come back and haven't just gone on the greatest hits tour. And I mean, I'm not like a fan of their newer music, but they're like a top selling artist still. I mean, they have all those songs on the radio, like Centuries and Light 'Em Up, and different stuff like that, which I mean, like, even if you don't like it, you got to kind of respect that. I mean, to have like still be popular in 2022 as you were in 2007.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they're definitely a band I've wanted to see live. I remember, so Fall Out Boy for me, when I was younger, you would get made fun of if you listened to Fall Out Boy. It was kind of like a girly band.
Yeah, I was one of those assholes who would make fun of people who listen to Fall Out Boy.
I was too. Dude, I was a gatekeeper. I would ask people like name 3 songs about band. I was a terrible person.
Dude, it sounds like you and I did a lot of the same stuff because I do the same thing. Somebody's like, "Oh yeah, I know this band." Oh, do you? Like, name some deep cuts.
I know them, man.
So you guys used to be pieces of shit. Yeah, is what I'm hearing.
This hair would slick back real well, dude.
I used to be a piece of shit.
But I actually had a chance to see them when Blink-182 got back together. I bought tickets to see them at Blossom in like 2011 or 2012, and it was Blink-182 and Weezer, 2 of my favorite bands. So I was ready to go see them, and I bought the tickets like real cheap. for like $50, I think. And then they had to cancel the show, and Weezer had to drop out, and Fall Out Boy had to pick up. So at that point, I didn't like Fall Out Boy. So I was like, I'm just going to sell my ticket. I got like $200 out of it. I made a decent dime on it.
Yeah.
If you would have told me right now, I could have seen Fall Out Boy and Blink-182 in the same concert. Like, I'm so mad at myself for selling that ticket, because that would have been a great show, man. And I've never seen.
Hope that 150 was worth it.
Hey, man, bought a lot of pot for me at that time, so
fair.
Your boy was happy with it.
So, who do you know the lineup of Fall Out Boy?
So Pete Wentz on bass. I know Patrick Stumpf is the singer. Andy is the drummer, I think. I don't know the other guitarist's name. I know that they kind of came from the hardcore scene in Chicago. They were all in kind of like hardcore bands, which is why you'll hear like Pete screaming on some songs.
I did notice that.
Oh yeah, they used to be it was all like hardcore punk, hardcore, like, not metal, but like close to that style. So they came out of that scene, especially Pete, really. And it's kind of interesting. He's kind of like the driving force of the band, kind of like, the lead of the band without being the lead singer.
Like Flea with Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Flea's just incredible on bass, though. I wouldn't compare.
He's like I get what you mean, but I mean, like, he's the bassist but also the band leader.
Yeah, your eyes are focused on him when you're on stage, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But they released an album. I think it was like their first album was called An Evening Out with Your Girlfriend, and that was just released by themselves. And you kind of get like the prototype. You can hear about their songwriting skills and see how it kind of develops. But they were actually ready to sign to a major label before they released Take It to Your Grave, which is their second album. But instead, they decided to release it through Fueled by Ramen and tour on Warped Tour to build up a following, like kind of like an underground following, to get some cred, even though they were really signed to a major label at that point. And then they released From Under the Cork Tree as their first major label release after that, which just blew up. I mean, Sugar We're Going Down came out, and I remember everybody. That was like the video on MTV that I just remember playing over and over and over again. That dude with the deer antlers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the worst part about this album is like you'll hear, that and Dance Dance, and people are like, oh, this song is overplayed. And it's like, dude, it's been 15 years. Like, we can listen to these songs again. They were overplayed back then, but now they're classics in my opinion. So
yeah, and there's a lot of songs that I feel that way about. Like, they were overplayed at a certain period of time, so I tuned them out, and then as time goes on and they stop getting overplayed, you can kind of circle back and it's like, oh wow, that was a bop.
It comes back around,
Yeah, Sugar We're Going Down is definitely one that falls into that category for me. Even like Dance Dance, I guess I feel like I was responsible for that song being overplayed, because that song was on the Madden 2006 soundtrack.
Who was
I don't know about
that one?
Donovan McNabb.
Okay, yeah, I remember that one.
And so I don't know if I'm like weird for doing this, but a lot of people don't even know this. Madden had a setting where you could actually go into like the settings, and it would have a list of all the songs that would be playing, and you could pick which ones would play and which ones wouldn't. And Dance Dance was one of the ones that I kept on, and I like took half of them off. So like I heard that song so much when I was in like 6th grade. So I can't blame anyone other than myself for that, because I kept it on.
That happens with video games though, man. Like any song that was on 2K from 2012 to 2017, if I hear it, I'm like, oh, that's 2K music.
Yep. Yeah. So that song is Madden music for me.
When you hear them play that like especially like Fall Out Boy, when you hear them play the songs live, it's a whole different vibe. Like Dance.
The energy's just got to be off the charts, I imagine.
Especially in the younger, like I've been watching a lot of their live performances, especially when they were younger, like the energy, and like when you get a band where, everybody knows the lyrics, even if they're like not the correct lyrics, and you have everybody in the audience singing along, like to like a hard, like power, like pop punk band like that, nothing beats it in my opinion. I remember so off of Take This to Your Grave, they have a song called Tell That Mick He Just Made My List of Things to Do Today, which is one of the best opening songs that you could open with ever. But then once they started going on a little bit, they started opening with Sugar We're Going Down, which I think is cool because like get the hit out of the way, play it, and then like play your set, just so everybody's not sitting there like, oh, they're gonna play Sugar We're Going Down
and punish everyone who came late.
Yeah. And they rip it.
No hits for you.
Yeah. You get to hear the B-sides.
That's hilarious. Well, yeah, let's just dive in, dude, because I mean, it took me a while as I'm scrolling through this album for the first song for me to get the full name of it.
Our lawyers made us change the name of this song so we would not get sued.
And bada bing, just like that, track number 1, sitting at 3 minutes and 9 seconds.
Great song to open up the album, in my opinion. It starts with like a camera click, and then the guitar solo went, a great opener. Not as good as Tell That Mick off of Take This to Your Grave, in my opinion. But I mean, a solid opener, something you can listen to over and over again, a definite banger, in my opinion.
Yeah, it caught my attention for sure. Because I mean, like we were saying earlier, I was one of those people who, when we were younger, would make fun of people who are listening to Fall Out Boy, and I honestly haven't really like ever dove into that. So I mean, now I'm like very open-minded when it comes to music. So I was like, all right, Fall Out Boy, let's see what we got. And that song just like pulled me in. I was like, all right, here we go. We got a little punk rock going.
Yeah, it slows down, it speeds up, it kind of like rips in when you get into the chorus. It like builds on itself almost. I think it's a really good opening song for that album for sure.
Yeah, no, it is. And yeah, attention grabber. If you can do that in the first song, guess what? I'll go to the second one.
Catchy too, great lyrics.
Yeah. So number 2 is Of All the Gin Joints in All the World. Again, about 3:11.
So really good song as well. I kind of lumped that in with Our Lawyers just because, you listen to them back to back.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, they fit really well together, and you get a good taste of what the band sounds like before you get into the hits. I mean, the perfect follow-up for the first song.
No, 100%. And when you do listen to it, how it's supposed to be listened to, people, in order.
Yeah.
You get the whole experience. But yeah, it does give you a taste of what you're getting into. And then you just get to track 3, and then you're fully into.
You gotta love the
Let's see. So Dance. I was trying to see if it peaked or where it peaked
Dance
on the
Dance
chart.
is third. I thought it was Sugar before.
Sugar's fourth, but
Dance is third.
Okay.
And it sorry, I keep fucking clicking back. Peaked at number 9 on the Billboard charts.
And that has a lot to do with the music video. I don't know if you guys have seen it recently. It's like the one where it's like the high school dance or whatever. Another classic music video for them. The song's just a banger, man. I mean, the drum and the bass line opening it up. The differences in the vocals, like and all the verse, no good with words, but I'm worse and a stutter and a joke of a romantic stuck to my
that's
tongue.
poetry, right? Like, dude, I didn't even know the lyrics to it growing up, but just that part was like, with a dance with a romance, have fun.
It adds like a jazz element or like a jazz singer element almost to the pop punk that like Fall Out Boy does better than, and I mean Panic does it really well too, but I think Fall Out Boy does it better than anyone else, where like the vocals in this are not pop punk vocals. Yeah. They're like, pop jazz fusion type vocals, but the way that they bounce and fit in between the like rhythm notes and stuff is just excellent, especially in this song.
Well said.
What can I say?
You can say,
Sugar, we're going down swinging.
Be another one with a bullet. I mean, what's more to be said than, am I more than you bargained for? Yeah. Tell mommy I'm watching you two from the closet, wishing to be the friction
in your ear.
Yeah,
dude. And then those drums.
So Andy, their drummer, he is a metal drummer by trade. He was in metal bands before, and I think that adds like a whole nother aspect to it of just watching a metal drummer use double bass and try and like play punk. It just makes it so much more powerful. It's
the drums are very big on this album.
Oh, the floor toms especially, the way they recorded them too, it sounds so good. Such a great song, a classic.
This next song has and I mean, honestly, the two hits are probably like the most normal named songs, but like that is one of the most, I guess, unique things about this album, or just these song names. But this next one, Nobody Puts Baby Baby in the Corner. Wow.
My favorite song on the album, actually. You get a lot of references to stuff. So Nobody Puts Baby in the Corner it's one of those dancing movies in the 80s. Is it Footloose or is it it's the
Dirty Dancing?
Dirty Dancing, is it? Yeah. Nobody puts baby in the corner.
Have the time of my life.
Keep quiet. Nothing comes as easy as you. As I lay in your bed all day, you'll be my best kept secret and your biggest mistake. Hand behind this pen relieves this failure every day. Oh my God, dude.
Inject me with that.
Yeah. Some of the best lyrics I've ever heard. Great melody. The part where it breaks too, and it's like, I keep my jealousy close because it's all right. Just an amazing song, dude. Another version of it, if you listen to it, they have a 5-song acoustic EP, and there's an acoustic version of that on there. Would definitely recommend listening to it because it's really good.
Hell yeah. Have you done any Fall Out Boy covers posted anywhere?
Oh yeah, go Colonel Mounts on Instagram. You probably have to follow me and I'll have to approve you just because I don't trust people.
There's verification.
There's a verification process. It'll take about 3 months to get you on there. Yeah, there's a lot of different covers on there for sure, man. I mean, I've been basically obsessed with them ever since I really did a deep dive this past year.
Hell yeah. Give them a follow. And then we'll move right down the list to number 6, which is just a fucking hell of a title.
This one was my favorite off the album because it was like one where, and I just love all songs that are like this, the vibe switches in the middle of the song. But yeah, I've got a dark alley and a bad idea that says you should shut your mouth. Again, like what a song name.
See, that's the best thing about like these like pop punk type bands with the long song names is a lot of them are like references to stuff that you don't know about. And then you find out later, you're like, oh, this is kind of cool that they named it this. Not one of my highlight tracks on the album, honestly, but I do enjoy it. It fits in pretty well. Definitely a great song title, for sure. Yeah.
What's the reference?
I don't know that one.
All right.
There's a video on YouTube where you can look at all the Fall Out Boy reference, like pop culture references. Like Tell That Mick, he just made my list of things to do today, is from this movie Rushmore that I'm not sure if it's Paul Thomas Anderson. Great movie though. Jason Schwartzman's in it. 2001. Check it out. It's from that movie. But there's a whole video online that goes through all their stuff and different pop culture references in it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm just going down this list of like the timing, and like they're all just in the 3-minute mark somewhere.
Right in that.
Like they have that formula just ready to roll. And we keep going down to 7 minutes in heaven.
And I just got to throw in the vinyl twist. This is the end of the A side. This album's a single discer. And so, yeah, those first 7 songs make up the A side of the vinyl.
So this closes the first side.
Yeah, this is number 7.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. Like the first 7 songs are the first side.
Hell yeah.
Well, it's 7 minutes in heaven at a Van Halen.
Yes.
So that, I know the story behind this song is Pete Wentz wrote it. I guess he tried to commit suicide at one point. And it's a song about, antidepressants. Ativan is obviously, a drug that you take for depression, I believe. I don't know. I've never taken it before, but, that's the one behind this song, need a higher dose and stuff like that. Obviously like he had a lot of problems, but I don't know. I've heard some bad stories about Pete Wentz too, like hitting on guys' girlfriends and stuff too. So don't feel too bad for him, guys. He married Ashley Simpson. So
yeah. Oh, wow. Fun fact.
You guys remember that? Him being on like J14 magazine and married to Ashley Simpson. He was like the biggest star in the world, dude. It was nuts.
My mom wouldn't let me look at those when we would go to Giant Eagle.
Oh.
She was like, "Get away from that, honey."
She was like, grab the Playboys.
That's my poison.
Yeah, stick to the coloring. All right, so to begin side B then, they're asking us sophomore slump or comeback of the year.
This one was a banger. I'm like, this is pure high school music, from like the song title to the lyrics, like everything about it. Like, that's a high school anthem.
This is one of those ones that I feel like you forget's on the album too, and then you hear it and you're like, oh, this song. I remember hearing them play it live. There's this thing online where, like, I think Daryl Hall from Hall & Oates has people over and they play music together, and they had Patrick Stump over and he played drums and sang this song to it, which was kind of cool to watch. Just, you know, I mean, obviously I'm not the biggest Hall & Oates fan, but like, it's kind of funny. Like, he got there and it's like all Daryl Hall's family, and he walks in, he's like, yeah, it's like a little awkward at first, but you know, it's Daryl, you know, so he made it comfortable. I'm sitting there like, I have no idea what you're talking to. I've never met Daryl Hall. Like, he's like sitting there like, you know, it's Daryl. Everyone's met Daryl. But yeah, definitely an underrated song. You love a song that just opens up with the vocal line and the guitar just to kind of introduce you to the melody. And I think that song does a really good job of it.
Yeah, that is a good point. Just coming right out swinging.
Yeah.
It's a comeback of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah. Well, now for number 9, it's either champagne for my real friends, real pain for my sham friends. Like, that's fucking great.
Another song that
these song
names
are
so
dude.
Good. And you have to think they probably, like, they have great lyrics too, but they definitely spent a lot of time figuring out these songs.
Yeah.
And they're like, we need to make these things awesome. This is another one that I feel like kind of fits in with the first two. Underrated as well, just like Sophomore Slump, just because it's later on in the album. A lot of people don't get that far when they're listening to it. A good version of this song is do you guys ever listen to like 8-bit versions of albums?
No.
I'll usually listen to like 30 seconds of it, and then I'm just like, give me the real thing.
Dude, see, I'm a huge 8-bit guy, just because it kind of, you can get like the differing melodies in between it and how things like go against each other. This is like one of the best songs I've ever heard in 8-bit before. There's a guy online who did the full album in 8-bit. If you ever get a chance to listen to it, even if you're just like studying or something, it's nice to have on. You can, you know, get a taste for the melodies without like having like overpowering music.
That's
definitely
an interesting concept.
Oh,
I guess I've never thought of it like in those sort of terms. I always thought people did it because they're like, oh, we want to like make it like video game music. I didn't realize there's like a whole nother aspect to it like that.
Well, that's definitely part of it. You want it to sound like you're playing Pokemon on Game Boy Advance or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as far as like I love 8-bit stuff just because you really get to hear just the melody. It's basically like someone just playing it on piano, or like, you know, a synth or something like that. But I've grown like really into listening to a lot of songs on 8-bit. It's just hard to find because, you know, people have to go and make it, obviously.
Oh yeah, no, I haven't dove into that, and I'm sure our listeners right now would like to dive in as well if you haven't heard of that. 8-bit.
8-bit.
Yeah.
I'll be selling 8-bit albums down the street for the next.
Only 8-bit.
For every 8-bit album made, I'll be making $1.50.
Hey, they'll put that in the $5 bin at the exchange.
God, I wish they put me in there, man. I don't know. I'm a $2.50 guy.
You should just move it there, like just like bring your own stickers.
It's not even like in the case either, too. It's like the easily stealable albums. I'm right in between like Chumbawamba and Kid Rock, Ba Wata Ba, which was my dream growing up. Obviously, was to be next to those two legends,
sandwiched,
sandwiched right between the greats. You know.
Cowboy baby.
Oh, dude, that's a great. I like Ba Wata Ba too, dude.
Yeah,
I like that album.
I like Kid Rock.
Yeah, dude.
Chumbawamba, I mean, I only know Tub Thumping, but Kid Rock, he's got some songs.
Yeah, horrible person.
Yeah. Michigan's own. Fuck the Wolverines.
I remember me and my family go up to Traverse City every year, and the one summer we went up there was the year that horrible Sweet Home Alabama knockoff song came out all summer long.
Yeah, that's my least favorite Kid Rock song.
Bro, they say like summertime in northern Michigan in it, and like that's exactly where I was. So they would play it on repeat. Like we would be on one station and we're like, we can't take this anymore, and we'd change it, and it would be, you know, down on another station, and it was hell on earth. I'm surprised I survived it.
Yeah, we know what to get under your skin now.
Yeah, that.
All right, so we're moving into the double digits of this album. Sitting at number 10, I Slept With Someone and Fall Out Boy, and all I got was this stupid song written about me.
Found the cure to growing older. You're the only place that feels like home. Another great song that starts with just guitar and the vocal line. An incredible name, obviously.
Yeah.
Apparently it's true too, because Pete Wentz was like, you know, making friends with people and trying to bang their girlfriends and stuff. That's a whole nother story. They have a song on their first album where the chorus is like, Chris, you were our only friend, and I know this is belated, but we love you back. And I guess the guy who Chris is based off of like went on Reddit in like 2008 or something. It was like, F Pete Wentz, man, like you tried to fuck my girlfriend and say that I was cheating on her and stuff. Like you guys shouldn't play that song anymore because like I'm not your friend anymore, man. I was like, wow, this guy.
Holy shit. Hey, you know what? Good or bad, if anyone writes a song about me, I'm loving it.
It's like Bang My Girlfriend, dude. I don't care.
Yeah. You bang, you last 11 seconds. You write that song, it lasts forever.
You gotta do it for the glory, man.
Hell yeah. All right, moving right down to number 11. A little less 16 Candles, a little more Touch Me.
Great song as well. Obviously 16 Candles is where that reference comes from. I can't remember the other half of it. I
mean, Touch Me, it looks like, is that the Doors song?
I think
a little more Touch Me. Lawrence is good at piano. He shall be rocking in my show.
Okay, stop. Another great song, though, underrated. Really helps fill out the second side of the album, in my opinion. Great track.
It is. I think it is the only one located in the 2-minute range. 2 minute 49 seconds.
Okay, so still getting up there towards 3.
So that's the 11 minutes or 11 seconds we're missing with you banging my girlfriend.
They have a basic structure to their songs too, where you have your, like, every song has like a bridge where it changes up a little bit. It's kind of like the way Blink-182 does it, but Blink-182 would just do like, okay, Travis on floor toms and just strike the chords, you know, in the same thing before, and that would be our breakdown. But they switch it up and add new vocal lines, which are just really interesting once you are in your like second or third listen through the album. Those parts really stick out to me, basically. Yeah,
love it. No, this was I enjoyed this one. All right, number 12. We're almost there. Get busy living or get busy dying. Do your part to save the scene and stop going to shows.
Jesus, I didn't even realize, because you see the albums on Spotify, and you don't get like that second half.
That's what I'm saying. It takes forever.
Yeah. Not much to say about this one. Honestly, I think this is more of a filler song, in my opinion. Obviously, if you're listening to it all the way through, I'd recommend listening to it. Every album needs filler songs, guys.
It's always the second last one. So it's not always the second last one. I've been proven wrong many times on the show with albums that we've listened to, where the second last song is incredible. But I find it there. Let's just say, yeah.
I think it's the way it starts. It's a little bit slower than the other songs. And the vibe is just a little bit different, but not a bad song in any way. I just, I think it's one of the ones that I would say, if you're going to listen to a couple songs on the album, maybe skip that one. Sorry, guys.
Fair enough.
Fall Out Boy's going to just come in.
Yeah, whatever, man. What are they going to do to me?
Yeah. Now you're back to the high school days. Fuck Fall Out Boy.
I can always go back to that, man. We'll revert to that.
Yeah.
Like, I never liked you from the start.
So we end number 13, XO. And that is a great way to sign off a letter and a great way to sign off an album. I would say so myself.
one of the most interesting melodies on the album, I think. Just as far as like intricacies, I think it's a lot different from the rest of the album. And it's one of those ones that like I didn't like first, but on my second or third like through the album, like it kind of catches you at certain points. And you're like, wow, I really like that one, line that he has in that, or that one melody in it. And that part of it, like this song will have you thinking, like if you've listened to this album 7 or 8 times and you hear this song, you're like, is this the best song on the album?
Yeah.
And then you're like, I don't know. But for like a second, it'll have you thinking that, because it has like a lot of really good aspects to it. But I wouldn't say like a radio hit or anything like that.
Very nice.
Definitely Panic at the Disco. It sounds like a Panic at the Disco
Yeah.
song to me.
I actually just looked it up. I was scrolling down, and Brendan Urie is backing vocals on the 7 Minutes in Heaven.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say this song, and I was like, dude.
No, dude.
Brendan Urie is backing vocals on 7 Minutes.
That's what it says here.
That's such a great song. That's one of my favorite songs on the album too. That'll have you thinking, like at some points, like, is this one the best one on the album?
Maybe it's this one.
Yeah, I really love a lot of the different songs on the album though. But yeah, I know Brendan Urie is and Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco are basically intertwined as far as bands for me. Two of the only bands that really have that like cinematic voice to pop punk. Instead of just like whining and screaming and stuff like that, they really make it an aspect to make the vocals like a major part of it. Two incredible bands.
Yeah. That is. No, and I appreciate you picking this one, because I don't know if I would have listened to a Fall Out Boy album like all the way through.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did, because I was definitely surprised. Like I said, some that stood out to me was the 7 Minutes in Heaven. Nobody Puts Baby in the Corner was that other one I didn't know, and then Sophomore Slump coming into the year is a good one as well.
So I gotta shout out a couple more guest artists. So that Sophomore Slump or Comeback of the Year song, William Beckett of The Academy is on that song. And then also I Slept with Someone in Fall Out Boy and All I Got Was the Stupid Song Written About Me has Chad Gilbert of Newfound Glory.
Really? Doing vocals or?
Yeah. These are both vocal appearances.
That's crazy, because I know they kind of did a lot of features like later on in their albums. I think who's the guy that did Infinity on High? It was like one of like the biggest rap producers like produced their album. But I mean, obviously they do a lot of collaborations and stuff, but that's cool. I mean, Newfound Glory, I just saw them recently too. They're
Babyface, that's who you're thinking of.
Babyface, yeah. It's like, who would have thought that,
Yeah, that is interesting.
I think they were signed to wasn't it Island that they were signed to?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jay-Z also appears on that album. He does the intro and the outro.
Yeah, one of the best bands as far as like features and like having different producers on it for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that album, so now that you say that, they actually list 4 producers. So Neil Avron, Babyface, Butch Walker, and Patrick Stump.
Okay, so Patrick Stump ended up producing part of it too. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's one of the best singers, I think, of the 2000s in general. Just kept getting better throughout the years. Even though I don't personally like their newer music, I can admit that like they're a better band now than they were back then. Just as far as playing together for so long. And now Patrick is like an opera singer basically, and like is in like jazz projects and stuff, and like they're just incredible.
Shout out to Fall Out Boy,
FOB,
and shout out to you, Josh. Again, we appreciate
what
you
an album,
coming
what
on.
an episode.
Honestly, I picked that album just because I listened to it for the first time all the way through probably about a year or two ago, and I was like, how many people have really done this and had the full experience? So to be able to expose it to you guys and have you guys like enjoy it as much as you did, it's exactly what I wanted to happen. So
hell yeah. Well, we appreciate it. And I honestly, so a kid who's downstairs right now that we had on the show, Alex Gaudin, or AG, I mentioned to him we were doing this album, and he goes, top 3 favorite albums of all time. So there will be some post Stallions conversation off the recording. So just know that. Guest mingling. If you want to be on Vinyl Stallions, hit us up. We may let you on.
It's a great time.
And I like, honestly, Josh, we should do this again. Like, just pick another album and we'll just do like a traditional album review episode, and you'll just be like on it with us.
Yeah.
See, that's what's great about my mental disorders is it's perfect for podcasts because I just never stop talking and just like, verbal diarrhea coming out of my mouth. So I kind of, can keep things like, going a little bit. And, it's a great way to stay in shape.
Yeah, that jaw movement never stops. Hell yeah. Well, again, Josh Mounts, Pineview Estates, Starks Pond. Check it out. We'll be posting about it as well.
Thank you guys for having me again. I appreciate it.
Of course, of course.
Absolutely.
Besides that, my name is Spruce.
I'm Kleb.
And I'm Josh Mouse.
And this has been another episode of Vinyl Stallions. Hell yeah, you got the picture. You got a name, bitch. You got a name.